Thanksgiving at my mother's house always felt like walking back into a memory that never softened with time. The same orange tablecloth, the same ceramic turkey centerpiece, the same forced smiles stretched thin like overused holiday decorations. I hadn't been home in 3 years, partly because work kept me busy, but mostly because this house no longer felt like mine. Ever since Dad passed, it felt like a place that closed its doors on me long before I ever left. I arrived carrying a cheap bottle of wine I'd bought on discount. Mom greeted me with a stiff hug, her perfume sharp and floral, the kind she only used when she wanted to impress someone. "You made it," she said, as if she were surprised. Carla arrived 10 minutes later, bursting through the front door with a loud laugh, swaying in a designer coat that shimmered under the hallway light. She hugged Mom dramatically, twirling her around as if she were the star of some family reunion movie. When she turned to me, her smile shrank. "Hey," she said, barely touching my shoulder. Dinner was a parade of Mom praising Carla's success, her salon, her apartment, her trips. As if every achievement was a jewel she polished proudly. I kept my eyes on my plate, listening quietly. I'd learned long ago that my place in this family was to stay small, while Carla took up all the space. After the meal, I got up to bring the turkey platter back to the kitchen. As I stepped into the hallway, their voices drifted from behind me. Soft, casual, not meant for my ears. "Mom said, your sister got the insurance payout. You don't need it." The words sliced through me so sharply, I almost dropped the platter. For a moment, I thought I misheard, but their murmuring continued. My hands felt cold. I walked slowly back toward the table, every step heavy. I set the platter down carefully, then said, "Mom, what did you just say?" Both women froze. Carla's eyes widened, her fork suspended midair. Mom's face tightened like a knot being pulled too hard. "Oh, Evan," she sighed, waving her hand as if brushing away dust. "Don't start. Carla needed the insurance money. You're a grown man. You've always managed on your own." I stared at her, feeling my pulse throb in my throat. Dad's life insurance was supposed to be split between us. Carla shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Mom leaned back, her tone sharpening. "You would have wasted it. At least she used it responsibly. Responsible." They had taken the last thing Dad ever left me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply said, calmly but coldly, "I see." But inside, a door that had stayed shut for years finally opened, and something dark and steady stepped through. The house felt colder after dinner, as if the walls themselves knew what had been said. Everyone drifted to their corners, Mom cleaning obsessively, Carla scrolling through her phone on the couch, and me sitting in silent disbelief. My father's face kept flashing in my mind, the man who worked double shifts, who skipped meals so we could eat, who always said, "Whatever I leave behind, it's for both of you." And now they were telling me I didn't need it. I approached Carla in the living room. She barely looked up from her screen. "How much did you get?" I asked. She sighed dramatically, dropping her phone into her lap. "Really, Evan, you're going to ruin the holiday with this." "How much?" She smirked, almost proud. 280,000. Why does it matter? It's not like you were ever around to help with anything." Her words hit harder than the number. I felt something twist painfully in my chest. "You knew it was meant for both of us," I said. She rolled her eyes. "Mom said you were impossible to reach. You never answered calls. They told the insurance agent you were unresponsive, so everything came directly to me. End of story. Unresponsive." As if I chose to disappear. As if they didn't know I was barely surviving, sleeping in borrowed rooms, working night shifts, changing numbers because I couldn't pay bills. Carla leaned back, crossing her arms. "Besides, I'm the one who deserved it. I stayed. I helped Mom. You ran off the moment things got hard." I felt my jaw tighten. "I didn't run off. I had nowhere to go. You both knew that." She shrugged with a careless little laugh. "Not my fault you made bad choices." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My own sister, someone I'd once protected from bullies and walked home from school, was looking at me like I was a burden she was glad to be rid of. Later, when the house quieted, I wandered into Dad's old study. The room smelled faintly of dust and cedar, the way it always had when he was alive. His desk was still piled with papers, old mail, and the leather. bound notebook he used to write reminders in. While flipping through the drawers, I found a set of documents clipped together: insurance forms, benefit allocations, letters from the company, and then, the thing my heart dreaded but expected, a signature that wasn't mine. Slanted, rushed, nothing like my handwriting. They had forged my consent. My hands trembled as I took photos of everything, each click of the camera a quiet promise. A promise that I wouldn't let this go. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, the forged signature burned behind my eyelids like a fresh wound. My father's name at the top of each document felt like someone twisting a knife deeper into my chest. They didn't just steal money, they stole his final intention for me. They rewrote his last wish, reshaped it into something convenient for themselves, and expected me to simply accept it. By morning, the numbness had hardened into clarity. I didn't confront them. I didn't shout. I didn't slam doors or demand explanations. I just packed my things quietly, walked out the front door, and drove away from the house that had stopped being home years ago. The first call I made was to the insurance company. I spoke to a representative named Martha, who listened patiently as I explained the situation. When I emailed her the photos of the documents, she fell silent for a long moment. "Mr. Hayes," she finally said, her voice serious, "this appears to be fraud. We'll have to escalate this. You may want to speak to legal counsel." I already planned to. The second call was to an inheritance attorney. His name was Douglas Sharp, a man with a steady voice, a sharp mind, and a reputation for handling cases exactly like mine. When we met 2 days later, he examined the documents for nearly an hour. He asked questions, made notes, and compared handwriting samples. At the end, he sat back in his chair and said 6 words that rewired the entire situation. "You have an airtight case, Evan." He explained everything in a calm, methodical tone. Forging a beneficiary change was illegal. Redirecting the pay, out without notifying all parties, was illegal. Claiming I was unreachable when they made no real effort to contact me was illegal. Every choice they made, every lie, every signature, had consequences. "What happens next?" I asked. "We file." He said simply, "Then we let the truth do the work." The truth worked quickly. Just a week after filing, Carla's accounts were flagged and temporarily frozen. Her salon, her pride, her empire received notice that all business expenditures tied to the insurance funds were under investigation. Suppliers paused contracts, employees whispered, clients canceled appointments, and Mom, oh Mom, called me that evening, her voice trembling with fury. "How could you do this to your own family?" I held the phone to my ear, feeling nothing but a cold, steady calm. "You did this," I said. "I'm just correcting it." She tried guilt, manipulation, even tears, but none of it moved me anymore. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the quiet, forgotten son. I was the one holding the truth, and the truth was finally loud enough to be heard. The court date arrived on a gray Tuesday morning. The sky looked heavy, as if it, too, had been carrying the weight of this case for years. I walked into the courthouse with a quiet steadiness, the kind that comes from surviving storms far worse than legal battles. My attorney, Mr. Sharp, gave me a small nod of reassurance. Carla and Mom were already seated at the defendant's table. Carla's once perfect makeup was smudged, her hair pulled back in a messy bun instead of the styled curls she loved to flaunt. Mom looked older than I had ever seen her, eyes dull, shoulders slumped, her confidence drained. They wouldn't look at me. I wasn't sure if it was because of guilt or fear. When the proceedings began, the evidence spoke louder than any of us could. The forged signature, the fabricated claim that I was unreachable, the bank statements showing how quickly the insurance money flowed into Carla's business and Mom's debts. Every page was a reminder of the betrayal they hoped would stay buried. Carla tried to defend herself, her voice trembling. Mom told me it was fine. She said Evan didn't need the money. I just did what she said. Her words dissolved into quiet sobs. Mom leaned forward, her voice cracking. We were trying to help her. Evan was always so distant. We thought he'd be fine. The judge raised a hand. Being distant does not justify fraud. Grief does not justify altering legal documents. Your reasons do not erase the harm. Mom lowered her head. After hours of testimony, the judge delivered the verdict. I was awarded half of the insurance payout, as originally intended, plus significant damages for fraud, emotional distress, and financial loss, plus full coverage of all legal fees. Carla's business assets connected to the stolen funds were to be liquidated or transferred. A formal record of fraud was placed on both their names. The courtroom felt painfully silent. Carla began crying uncontrollably, blaming Mom for everything. Mom just stared ahead, her eyes empty, as if reality had finally caught up to her. I didn't smile, I didn't gloat. Justice doesn't need celebration, it simply needs to be carried out. I walked out of the courthouse feeling lighter, as if chains I'd worn for years had finally fallen away. With the recovered funds, I cleared my debts, secured a peaceful apartment, and invested in starting a small woodworking shop, something Dad always dreamed of doing with me. Months later, I visited Dad's grave. The wind was cool, the air quiet. I rested my hand on the stone and whispered, "Dad, I didn't fight to hurt them. I fought to honor what you intended, and I'm okay now, really okay." I walked away knowing that, for the first time in my life, the future was mine, and no one could take it again.